You don't really have to open these boxes. It's not that important. All right, here's first Cartographer. See what drops. These are 0.7 divines apiece. 0.7. Okay, that was 2.8 divines I just looted from that box. All right, we won't see any loot from the diviners. Just hoping for reopens. Got one open. There's two. There's the Cartographer. Okay, reopen. Where are my T16.5s, bro? Oh, that's crazy. No, so you get the reopen, so you get so many maps. It's crazy unlucky. No 16.5. Come on, dude. What are you doing? Wait. How is there no 16.5? What is this? That is the most scam garbage I've ever seen. It's like so scammed. I dropped more maps than I would drop divination cards. Wait, oh, there is... Okay, there are 4 here. Yo guys, what's going on? Snoo here, welcome back. You might be wondering, what the heck did I just see there? So many maps dropping in one map. How can I do that too? Well, this is kind of a strategy-based video, and I'm going to share with you what I did to drop as many maps. Obviously, some RNG is definitely involved, but it's a pretty unique way to farm maps. It's called Cartographer box farming, and the reason I'm making a video is because it's a very unique situation where I was able to combine the pilfering divination card farm, diversify the strat, and to create a kind of two-way strategy without almost any downside to the primary divination pilfer farm. And I know many of you out there are not that familiar with Cartographer box farming and the kind of results it can produce. And this league in particular, it's especially valuable to know how to farm maps because of the 16.5 Originator maps, tier 17 still being in play. And you make a lot of currency, and in some cases you might even be able to self-sustain tier 16.5 maps, which is just about what I'm able to do with this strat. So the fact that I can do a primary divination card pilfering strat on tier 16.5s without having to even buy the maps to sustain them would probably surprise a lot of you. And so I'm going to share with you some of the, I guess, the tech involved with how we're setting things up in the atlas and the way, you know, rolling the maps and that sort of thing. And we'll take a look at some of the map values and you know, other information like that. Let's take a look at the trade side here. You can see that I was dropping an insurmountable number of jungle valleys. Of course, they weren't Originator by and large, but a few of them were, and here's what they were worth currently. I think at the time of the recording, they were worth about 0.7 divines apiece, which is definitely one of the better ones. But you want to see something really cool, is if we, ironically, the map I was running was Mausoleum. If we go ahead and transfer it to Mausoleum, you'll see that there is an extreme shortage of supply and very high demand for Mausoleum. Now, this is probably because Empyrean Gaming recently came out with his own version of the Pilfering Divination strat, which is good and all, but it did not come equipped with a two-way farm being able to self-sustain or practically self-sustain the map, and that has put the market in a world of hurt. Because obviously Pilfering Divination is a good strat by itself, but you do need to meet the demand of other things, the materials required to put that together, and that is one reason why I'm making this video. Sometimes you just got to take a look at what the market's doing and modify your approach accordingly. That's not all though. We can also take a look at tier 17s. I can use PoE Ninja, the economy page for that. And ironically, Sanctuary maps went down a bit, but this has put Mausoleum map farming in very high regards. So doing a sort of tier 16.5 Mausoleum self-sustaining farm that also drops Sanctuary maps could obviously be particularly good for map farming. Now, as you can see, I'm here in the game and I'm in the middle of doing this farm. I actually have 20 more maps to do in the 100 map set. And again, presenting this video ahead of time, I'm just going to go ahead and scroll over some of these maps so you can get a sense of what they are. The reason they're rolled this way is because quantity is the only thing that really matters here. One of the key takeaways for this video is you're understanding that the Diviners boxes, the Cartographers boxes, as well as the Arcanist boxes, which we're going to discuss a little more in detail in a second, those have 100% weighting for their specific drops. And You'll notice that there's no percent more map rolls on any of these, or at least if there are, actually there kind of are, aren't there? Well, some of them have it, some of them don't. It's just by chance, okay? They're tier 17 modifiers that might show up there, and that gives a higher quant value anyway. And it's nice to drop maps off of the monsters you spawn from strong boxes, but the boxes themselves, which you were focusing there on the highlight, that was Cartographer box loot, is not impacted at all by percent more map multiplier, and so quantity is the only thing that matters here, and as well as a little bit to a lesser extent pack size. You might get quant eldritch altars, but basically it's just all quant, and that's why these maps are rolled the way they are, with a focus exclusively on quant, whether it's for diviner box farming or cartographer box farming. It just so happens that we can combine the two and not have to really diversify the farm very much. In both cases, I'm using these 5 scarabs here. You notice there's no cartographer scarab. Now, it would be kind of nice to use a cartographer scarab, but again, it doesn't really matter that much for the sake of cartographer box farming, because, you know, it just seems to drop the loot. Whatever loot it's going to drop, it's just basically based on quant. But it's also based on the rolls of the boxes themselves, and so this is a box rolling strat both ways, diviner and cartographer. The potency increases the explicit. We have not 15 but 31% chance to dupe, or not 16 but 31% chance to dupe. One of the most important scarabs is discernment, which gives a 10x multiplier on Arcanist, diviner, and cartographer boxes. That's super critical. And then containment, because, you know, you're either running containment or you're kind of scrapping these two and just running triple ambush. And then pilfering, of course, that's exclusively for diviners. And so I guess hypothetically, if you wanted to focus specifically on cartographer box farming, you could drop this scarab, but I don't think that's a very good idea because it's basically all upside, virtually no downside. The only downside is, I guess, one more scarab slot. Now we'll take a look at the atlas here, and this is what I'm going with right now. The first thing I'd like to point out is concealed logistics combined with vault of mysteries, but no backup cache. I'm going to explain this pretty well with the weightings. When we look at the weightings of these boxes, it's probably one of the big takeaways of the video, is that these specialized boxes, which the discernment scarab is pumping up a 10x multiplier for, they do not have the same weighting. In fact, they're not even close. Cartographer is way more rare than the other two. Diviner is actually way more rare than Arcanist too, and that means Arcanist is a much higher weighting. And I'm not putting it in here. Long and short of it is because I don't want Arcanist boxes eating up the other two types. But I'm willing to settle for combining these two, even though it may mean I spawn a little bit fewer of the other, if that makes sense. And of course the rest is pretty much self-explanatory. We got, of course, 16.5 drop chance. We got all the increased effective modifiers. I'm forcing delirium. I'm getting some shrines, strong box focus, eater of worlds to get those eldritch altars for additional quant if I'm so lucky. Singular focus, may or may not use this, but I mean, you got to see the value of those mausoleum 16.5, so probably not a bad idea. This does eat into tier 17 map drop chance, I believe. Somebody can correct me if you think that's not right in the comment section. But the only other peculiar thing is taking a few of the map nodes. So this is, of course, a little bit of a sacrifice to the pure divination farm, taking shaping of the skies, shaping the world in these points right here. But I mean, like, I didn't go all the way with it and take these over here. It's too far out of the way. As promised, here's some information related to the spawn chance. I know I've seen a different page on PoEDB before that actually had the real weightings, and I apologize, I wasn't able to find it in researching this now. I don't know if the page was changed, but I saw this other page here that is from, I guess, a sample size of over 2,000 strong boxes. Unfortunately, Cartographer is not included here, but I can promise you it's more rare than Diviners, at least twice as rare, at least. And so you can see the spawn rate of each box here. It's kind of nice to have these percentages loaded up this way, and the generic strong box is way more common than any other. Of course, you can still drop maps, currency, and divination cards specific to the area layout in those boxes, so they're still important. But Arcanist box spawn rate of 4.3. Again, this would be a 10x multiplier to that spawn chance with the Discernment Scarab. The same applies to Diviner's strong box, which is listed down here at about a third of the spawn rate. So I would anticipate Cartographer Strongbox somewhere around a third of a Diviner's spawn rate, less than 1% for sure. That is to say, its chances increased pretty dramatically whenever the Discernment Scarab's in play. And so these percent chances are multiplicative with the discernment scarab and with the chance to spawn them in the atlas. That's why there was a total of 60% increased spawn chance. Has a pretty dramatic effect, and that's why I'm not taking the Arcanist variation, because I don't want Arcanist strongboxes to dominate the Diviner and Cartographer spawn chance too much, although it's kind of going to happen anyway. You'll find when you use the discernment scarab alone. At any rate, I figured I'd just bring it to your attention, the value of target farming maps, whether it's through this strategy, that strategy. This one in particular is Pilfering Divination, card farming combined with Cartographer box farming. They sync up really well together in a time when map target farming is better than ever, with tier 16.5s, tier 17s in play. And so I'm having a lot of fun, and it's a great strategy, of course. Definitely check out Empyrean's video, which I referenced earlier. And you can see that he did rather well with it, and that was without any components to map farming. I think this is going to make a lot of you happy if you are struggling and annoyed with sustaining maps and going on trade and realizing that the map you want is a full divine baseline. It's a little bit despairing for sure. And so guys, that's going to finalize this video. I think to finish things out, I'll just keep running the clip with that particular map that I ran. It was a great map, better than average for maps drops for sure, and better than average for divination drops. So now you get to see the final boss kill. You get to have a little bit of an understanding about why the strategy works, what makes it so good on a better than average map. Not every map goes this well, but yeah, roll the tape. I'll see you guys in the next video. Alright, I mean, this will still have like, hold on, let me see. It's probably not gonna have 1,000 cards, but it'll have the high hundreds. $1,023. 4 imperfect memories is okay, and not terrible. That's kind of mediocre drops for 1,000. It can be worse for sure. There you go. I mean, that's easy enough. Now, what is imperfect memories worth? Looks like it's gone up. Well, that's 5 divines. 4 imperfect memories is 5 divines. So I dropped 4 sanctuaries, 4 16.5s, and 5 divine, probably 7 divines, 6 or 7 divines worth of cards. So definitely got like way over 10 divines in that map.